before the 20th century, there were no income taxes. There were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
So she's talking about the right, but I'm thinking all those things she mentioned, I'm like, what's wrong with that?
First of all, she was talking my language. You know, the crazy thing is that their plans don't work without our money. That's the thing. They have to break everybody's back in order to get this fuzzy, you know, unisex, the globalist society that they think is going to be great.
Amidst being in the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we already see an exodus of working and middle-class New Yorkers. So I don't have a hesitation in asking those who make the most amount of money in the city or the most profits in the city to pay a little bit more so that everyone can actually stay in this city. It's also something not just about justice or the ability for working class people to live here. It is also actually about ensuring that corporations can continue to attract the top talent to this city. Because in a city where childcare costs more than $20,000 a year, I've heard from corporate leaders about how difficult it is for them to attract individuals who would work at their companies but want to raise a family, because you could be making $300,000 a year and you will feel that $20,000 a year because of the fact that we have allowed for the absence of affordable childcare to become reality here in this city. For those who have watched budget after budget, it is tempting to assume that we are engaging in the same dance as our predecessors. Let me assure you, nothing about this is typical. That's why our solutions won't be either. There are two paths to bridge this gap. The first is the most sustainable and the fairest path. This is the path of ending the drain on our city and raising taxes on the richest New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations. The onus for resolving this crisis should not be placed on the backs of working and middle-class New Yorkers. If we do not fix this structural imbalance, and do not heed the calls of New Yorkers to raise taxes on the wealthy, this crisis will not disappear. It will simply return, year after year, forcing harder and harsher choices each time. And if we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced down a second, more harmful path. Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our own control. We would have to raise property taxes.
And you know, I always have this theory is, why don't you start first, Joy? Give up all your worldly possessions. Just give it all up and be flat Betty for a week or two, maybe a year or 3. You be the first person. You be the first person. Because what happens is elites never give up all of their stuff. It's the regular people. It's the populace that they want to break, not each other. I mean, we see it in New York with Mamdani, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, my wife can be as racist as she chooses to be. She's my wife. You know, I'm the mayor. That's the way this is supposed to work. Now, you can't say that, but she can, because she's my wife and we're the elite. We're the ruling class. And this is what they want. When they say the quiet part out loud, and she's saying it like it's a dirty thing, and I'm waiting for the punchline because you sound great right now, girlfriend. You sound amazing. You know, it makes me think again of how great that divide is between the left and the right.
Yeah, and you mentioned New York. I mean, folks, it's getting so bad in New York that they are trying to lower the speed limit in New York City so they can put in more cameras and speed cameras to get money off of hardworking people for speeding. Lower it, because I guess people aren't speeding at the rate of the.
They need them to speed, right?
So they're lowering it because they know they'll get more people, and in that turn they'll send out more speeding tickets, just so they can get more money in the car.
Absolutely. You know, when I'm thinking when she said that, I'm like, well, what is wrong with that? Why? There's a difference between when there used to be a song. Let me say it this way: there used to be a song when I was young. It was called "To Be Young, Gifted, and Black." Nowhere in that song did it say to be dumb. Okay, Joy is dumb. I don't understand how she even put those two ideas together and to say that this should be the conclusion. Why would you want any government to take all your money? And she's wrong about one thing. In 1861, President Abraham Lincoln imposed a tax to pay for the Civil War. Okay. Then a couple of years later, that was overturned because they was like, no, you can't tax people's income, whatever, right? Here we are today. We pay upwards. Every American that's hardworking, for the most part, we pay upwards of more than 50% when you add up all the taxes that we have: local, state, federal, excise taxes, import taxes, fees, payroll taxes, property taxes, corporate tax. I wrote them down. Estate taxes, capital gains, gift taxes. When you add up all those, it comes up to be more than 50% of your income. Mind you, our tax system is, people say it's progressive. I say it's progressive in the sense that it keeps increasing as you make more, but it's regressive because it disincentivizes you to want to make more because your money is going to be taken. I don't understand Joy. Joy seems like she goes all around the tulips just so she can take a dig at, I'll say, Republicans, certainly at Trump, anything. And I don't even think she believes in her damn self.
Oh, I think she believes it.
Not this part. I don't think she believes this part.
The reason why I think she believes it is because she is like a lot of other leftist Black folks. They continue to remove themselves from the American dream. They believe that because they are Black, they cannot take part in the American dream, in capitalism. They continue to other themselves. That's what they're doing. Oh my God, they're nuts, folks. These people, when you think of the enslavement of the mind, her picture and the rest of these dumb leftists, and I'm going to say dumb Black leftists, their faces should come up. They really don't. They don't believe that they are can take part of it. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yes. They don't feel empowered to be, quote unquote, an American, right?
So they want to do everything to make themselves not American.
Exactly. But they want all the privileges. They don't want any of the responsibility. That's the big difference. That's the one thing about freedom. Freedom is the greatest privilege in the world, but it comes with a rack of responsibilities, and it's hard. Sometimes being free means you're free and broke, but you're still free, right? Well, they don't want that. They want your money. I mean, just because you worked harder, you studied longer, God blessed you differently, does that mean that I don't get a piece of what you have? I think you should contribute to this great pot of resources, that I'm taking money out of, so I don't have to be exceptional, so I don't have to work hard, and I can just enjoy myself doing whatever it is that I decide to do. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely the most bizarre thought process, especially for a very wealthy woman to have. Absolutely bizarre on her part.
Yeah. Well, we have another super chatter here.
All right. I just want to say one last thing before we move on from this. Folks, it's one thing to be dumb. It's another thing to be a perpetual victim. But to be dumb, a perpetual victim, and ugly.
You know what?
Ooh.
Like KJ.
You got a real problem.
I just kept it at dumb and Black. I didn't want to go there, but
I didn't say anything about Black. I said
I said I kept it there. I just kept it at
oh yeah, you got a real problem, Joy, and bald headed. You got a real problem.
Tyrone Davis, thank you, Tyrone, for your $2 super chat. People are starting to wake up to right and wrong. Thank you, Tyrone, for that. Everybody else, hit that like, share, and subscribe out there. Are we
be leaders ourselves?
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for Black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me, what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a Black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.